Hi, my name is Kayan
And my name is Donny.
and we are KD.
Kejaya Dikut. Welcome
Yes.
to this latest episode with both of us.
And this is our episode, the third episode
Yes.
of our podcast. So Don, what is your reflection from the first two episodes? I think by the time we record this, both the episodes have already been out in YouTube at least. What
Yes.
is your view?
I think so far, I felt good about it. Gotten feedback from friends and and family, and so far I think they enjoyed the episodes. I think we have given some food of thought, some of the topics. Of course, we have gotten some questions as well. I think that there are further questions in which if we got time later, then perhaps maybe we can go through that. Or,
Yes.
we covered it within the episode itself lah.
Yes.
Yeah, but so far I think so far so good. Thank you for the support, guys. We hope that you continue to follow us and the topics that we discuss about.
Yes. I also have received some feedback saying that some of our points have been helpful
That's good.
for their life, for their career as well. Right. So let's jump straight to our third episode, and our topic will be on mental health issues. In at least in the workplace. Right. Of some statistics here. Maybe I just read out. So based on a technical report released by our MOH, which is our KKM, in 2017. So they say that as much as 29.2% of our adults actually are in Malaysia are experiencing mental health problems. So, and these statistics actually make this the second largest health issue in Malaysia. I mean, the first one obviously is the heart problems, right?
Yep.
So you have any other statistics that you
Yeah,
want to share?
I think that was one of the more verified statistics that we have gotten. That when you talk about mental health, and the other statistics I go through is that basically it is it's a silent struggle, and you look at it, there are a lot of articles if you go through that talks about actually the workplace is one of the causes of mental health issues.
Yes.
Kayan,
Yes.
to a lot of people.
Yes, and the thing is, we spend a majority of our waking hours in office or in workplace at least, right? If you're working from home, you also will need to deal with your colleagues, your bosses, your subordinates, right? So your office, obviously, right? So we spend more time together than, for my case, I spent more time with you last time
Yeah.
than with my wife. so that is
Same.
that is a very long hour we spend with our colleagues, right? So because of that, actually we actually require this relationship with our colleagues to build or to cater for our emotional needs and to release some of our stress, basically, right?
And I think this is one topic that I think I've researched beforehand, not only on statistics, but actually asking people on the ground and talking to people who are affected by mental health issues. Now, mental health issues here, I'd like to clarify, it doesn't mean that, someone may have, let's say, being diagnosed with, let's say, for example, clinical depression, which is very common. But in terms of their mindset or the mental space, put it this way, the right word is actually the mental space and the state of their thoughts, right? Yeah. And I can tell you, Kayan, workplace is the biggest contributor to a person's mental health. And like you pointed out rightly, you spend, I think both of us spend really long hours in office. Yes. And I think I do see you more than my wife last time when we were in the same office.
Yep.
So that's why we are doing the podcast together. But and one of the common themes when I ask people who are affected by this affliction or mental health, and I think perhaps maybe some of you may face it. If you don't face it, then you are lucky. But I would say that actually the toxic workplace is one of the contributor, Kayan, right? One of. And then when you go down deeper, toxic workplace also got two kinds. One is the overall toxicity of the workplace, but another one which I feel that is quite important is basically they do not have friends at work. Right?
Yes.
That's one of the key contributors actually.
Exactly. So maybe you can talk a bit about friend at work since you have brought it up. So what are the benefits of having a friend at work? So I know that some people think that colleagues are colleagues. So outside of work, you don't bother me, right? But I think both of us, we think that friends in work is actually needed because sometimes you need somebody to fall back into, someone to share your thoughts, share your problems, and brainstorm. So for example, certain ideas that can be enhanced and can help you in work, right? So of course, this may also increase our productivity in work because of your brainstorming, your sharing of ideas, right? So having a good friend, it's actually a very key component in work in a workplace.
I don't disagree. I kind of totally agree with your viewpoint. But interestingly, when I speak to a lot of people, not all of them actually share our sentiment in the sense that they do not have a friend at work. And I think, put it this way, right? If you can get a friend at work, then you're lucky. You should be thankful for that. But for those of you that, I've come across people, right? And some of them are close friends and everything to say that I cannot find a friend at work, right? And in that sense that you do not have a friend at work where you go in, you feel very isolated, very lonely. Of course, that lazy way out of things is people are telling you change your job lah, but it's not as easy as that. So in that sense, right, Kaya, I'm going to ask you, zoom into the problem itself. What is your advice to people who, let's say for example, you go to work, we talk about first category, is basically you can't find a friend. I mean, literally you're the only person, you're by yourself. How do you cope with that?
So I think if that is the case, I think it's mainly because maybe that person is maybe introvert, or maybe that person is doing a regional role where that person is seated.
It can be
alone.
introvert. I think the most common
Right.
to a lot of people is just being introvert, right?
So my advice would be, let's start from let's do a small step. At least tomorrow onwards, ask your colleague for lunch once a week, right? So I would believe that having lunch together is actually the best avenue to actually build relationship with the colleagues, right?
But what if the colleague tak layan you? I mean,
If unfortunately if the particular colleague didn't layan us, please change your target then. I mean, in the company, I'm sure there are other people as well in the company, and I also think that we cannot force other people to actually come and be friends with you. So if that particular colleague do not want to be friends with you, move on. That's my advice.
so that's Kayan's advice. But that for me, I don't see it as something wrong if you do not have a friend at the workplace, right? I don't see that something wrong. So don't feel that something is wrong with me because I do not have a friend in the workplace. And because everybody's personality is different. Myself, you and I, both of us are extroverts. It's easier for us to reach out, right? But I'm going to share some advice that one of the respected boss I used to have. So when I was first new at that organization, he brought me to coffee for breakfast,
Yep,
right?
same.
So he bought me coffee and then he told me, Don, I come to work, I get my work done, and then I go back and I get my kicks outside, right? The best piece of advice I've ever gotten, right? Come to work, get your kicks outside. What it means is just that you come to work with the focus of I'm just here, I just get my work done, and for whatever my social life, I'll do it after work. Now that advice works great for people who, number one, for example, you feel that it's a bit of a problem for me to fit in, right? Number two, I can't find friends because people just don't like me or whatever it is. Can be various reasons. The workplace have issues, but that's one of the ways that for someone, they say that I can't make friends, but you look at the perspective, right? And another thing is I think me and you, Kayan, the reason why we are able to make friends is because we just lucky to have people that same worldviews,
yep.
Easy to click. But importantly, the element is that we have the sincerity in ourselves.
Yes.
So I think even if you are introvert, you don't feel comfortable making friends, but as long as you're a sincere person, I don't think so that will be a problem. I mean, you need to stay true to yourself, right? So that's one of my few advice. Of course, when you talk about ideal situations, I think me and Kayan, we approach people to make friends. So I make it an effort to actually get to know people around my new office. Mm-hmm. So I just joined an organization not too long ago, and I think that's what my approach is. Just get to know people, just say hi, good morning. Yeah. Even if you're an introvert, you can do that, right? Just put on a different personality in the sense that just be brave, ask people out, and I think even the most common things like greetings will help, right? Just greet someone, good morning,
yep.
Or selamat pagi or whatever it is. And you begin to realize that breaks the ice, because sometimes people are just so shy.
Yes.
But if someone breaks the ice, then it's easy to have conversations, and don't limit it to your department or your floor. Get to know people around the organization, because if you can't click people in your team or your floor, there's always some other people, other floors that you can click with. And that's speaking from experience, Kayan. I mean, yep. I make friends from different departments, different floors. So that's how you get friends into it.
Same. So I have the same experience. So I'm actually leaving my current company. So every day for me is like a farewell lunch. So I know many people from different departments, different floor of the company. So I'm very thankful that people are very sincere to me when we make friends with me, right? And I think one last benefit I think having more friends in office is, I think we have said that in the previous episode, is networking, right? Having friends from the company actually help in actually knowing people from industry, because people leave the company, people join another company from the same industry. So that will help as well, right? I would like to go back to mental health.
Yeah. It is interlinked. It's
Yes.
interlinked. Yeah.
Okay. So from the feedback that I received from our first two episodes, is they want us to give them actually more examples in real life. So maybe I will just chip in a bit on my experience in terms of mental health issues. So back then when I was in the Big Four audit firm, it's a bit toxic over there. So sometimes I've experienced some signs of mental illness. For example, you do work in your dream. So that means when you are dreaming, you are working. So I've experienced that, right? When you're dreaming, you're dreaming about working to finish the task, but when you wake up, the task is not completed because you are dreaming, right? So other things, I think, okay, maybe I give you a bit of perspective of what happened in the past when I was in the Big Four audit firm. So I start work, let's say 9 a.m. I was in audit, right? So I was auditing this general insurance company. Then afternoon, I went to this life insurance company to audit. Then in the evening, towards the night as well, I was auditing this multinational bank who is serving UK and US time zone. So we're working from maybe 9 a.m. to maybe 1, 2 a.m. in the morning. So long working hours, right? And the problem is, you work long hours, but when you reach office, for example, in the middle of the night to continue your work, you're scolded by your boss, right? Sometimes for unfair reasons, right? Sometimes it's just to release the stress, right? So I would think that, some people, especially in the audit field, especially external audit in the Big Four, you would have some sort of mental illness or signs of mental illness. So what I did was I had enough from audit, so I left after 5 years. So I escaped from audit, and my mental health became better, more healthy, right? So that is my experience in the audit firm. You have any experience in terms of mental health?
I think never actually got into actual mental illness unless you count watching anime as
Nope.
mental illness.
Nope.
So but I've gone through like really, really stressful situations. I would say that, throughout my career, been to like high pressure places. Was working in a contact center with a big bank, and then moved on to do special projects with GLC, and then of course I moved into the insurance field. And a lot of it because you're doing turnaround work, you're doing post M&A integration work. It's a lot of stress, a lot of pressure, a lot of tight deadlines. But one of the ways, if I can share, I think some of the people that may want to know how do you cope with it. I think you need to look for a strong role model for you to anchor on, right? To give you an inspiration to go on whenever things are tough, right? And I have to say that in my case, I find inspiration in Naruto. I think at the point of time, as I was going through this work, the manga was still running.
Yep. Which episode was this?
Not the anime, the manga.
Okay,
so I was actually someone who reads the anime,
right.
reads the manga online, but also watching the anime. But I think one of these things that you may laugh at it, but it's a correct character that you can relate to, because you meet obstacles after obstacles. But one of the things that inspires you and keeps you going is the fighting spirit, that they never give up thing. And it's a very common theme among all the Japanese anime, or if you go into Japanese entertainment, it's all about never give up. So that inspiration of never give up. So whenever you're at a breaking point and you think back that, what Naruto has done, right? In a sense, then it fires you up, right? It fires you up and you rise above the occasion. So that's one, finding a real model. It can be fictional, it can be non-fictional, but I think it helps a lot. And of course, having an interest in music, you just release your stress by listen to your favorite music. You need to unwind, because one of the key things I realized, like Kayan, I think in your case is because maybe you didn't get to unwind.
Yes.
So I was lucky because I had a 1 hour drive from KL back to Kajang, was at least 1 hour. Even at night, at max about 35-40 minutes. So that was my unwinding down, right? As every kilometer you go, you slowly unwind. So by the time you get home, you're kind of a bit more relaxed. You take a shower, rest for a while, another cup of coffee, and then you start work again.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ways, lah, right? I think that,
Yes.
that you can cope to this kind of situations.
I think for me, the example would be because I love badminton, right? So I actually play badminton twice a week, which is a lot. Once with my ex-colleagues, of course, networking session for me, right? And the other one with my friends in Star Park, right? Apart from exercising, I think this is one of our way to cope our stress by having our own podcast. I think we are quite relaxed in doing this podcast. We have this aim to do it, and we spend time to do it. I'm sure this actually helped to relieve some of your work-related stress.
It does. But one of the questions I want to ask you as well as Kayan, because I think this is sometimes that, people may be hesitant to think about. But what do you think about seeking professional help? That means going to see a counselor, like a proper professional, right? And there's not psychiatrist is that level, but there's another one about psychologists or something like that where you go and listen to a shrink, right?
Yep, shrink.
So,
yes.
go to listen to a shrink. What do you think about it?
I would think that if you asked me this question 10, 20 years ago, I think the stigma would be you are weak if you are searching or seeking help for your mental illness. But I think as of today or in this modern era, I think seeking help for mental health or mental illness is common. It's just like you have a flu, you have a cough, go to the doctor, right? So I think it's similar. If you need help, please approach the doctor or you call shrink, or let's say counselor, or if you have a counselor in your company, or
no, I mean a counselor outside because nowadays what clinical psychologists they do is they function as counselor. I totally agree with Kayan, but the thing is, before this, even 10, 15 years ago, I never thought it was a stigma because so for someone where I have this awareness where these people are professionals, right? They have studied their degree in this field, and now I think due to like more this topic is commonly talked about, and also more research has been done. It's actually a specialty, Kayan. It's actually I would say that this is a medical condition, in a sense that it's not something that me and you just say grit ourselves and plow through. Maybe we are built different, but in today's modern era where we got so much more troubles and stress, I think you should go and seek professional help. It doesn't mean you got a problem, but like I feel that how I look at clinical psychologists or counselors is like they are lawyers and your general practitioner doctors, right? You don't feel good, you go and see them because sometimes they may point out, hey, you should loosen up. And some of this advice may actually help you on the long run as well because this is a marathon, life is a marathon, it's not a sprint. So I think that seeking help is something that I would strongly recommend. Even if you feel that you are at the stress or breaking point, I don't think so. You should keep quiet about it, right? If you don't think that your friends or family can help you, just go see a shrink. And it's okay to be open about it because it is common now. Because I think the life that we are living now is not as easy as last time.
Yes.
And now this topic is more open. So I think one of the reasons why we talk about this in our podcast is that we want to encourage an openness when it comes to mental health, right? For people to recognize that yes, maybe I have some issues with mental health, and I think I should seek some professional help in this because there's nothing wrong with it, right? Yes. I mean, prominent people do seek advice, right? They have people in retainer that helps them with their mental space. I can give you one example. Most of the time, do you know like the champion tennis players, people like your Rafael Nadals, your Roger Federers, they actually have their own shrinks. Mm-hmm. So they actually employ a psychologist full time to make sure that whenever, let's say for example, they go to Wimbledon, they're the right space, right? So the thing is, it's been employed in sports, and if you look at yourself as let's say a high performance athlete. Right, every time you go to the Olympics or you go to an important tournament, you will definitely be impacted by pressure and everything, and you cannot perform. They normally have this kind of people that brings them to the right mental space. So I think that you should approach it like an athlete. Seek professional help so that you can perform the best you can at work.
Yep.
That so that someone can guide you in terms of your headspace, in that sense.
Yep. I totally agree with that, Don. So I think in our viewers, I'm sure they are HR practitioners or maybe even CEOs watching this. So as a company, Don, what do you think as the HR people or the CEOs can do to help the employees to overcome this problem in terms of mental health illness?
I think it's not the company level first or even the HR level first, right? I think this I'm just going to be answering a question from our listener Jinhan.
Sure.
So I think you know him as well, Jinhan, right? So the question is what makes a good boss, right? I think this links back to workplace mental health. It's actually your immediate boss, right? I think if you have people reporting under you, you are actually a key important factor to determining your team's mental health,
Yes.
right? And like there's a saying, not everyone can become a good leader, but everyone can be a boss.
Yep.
So when you're a boss, what makes your role more important to make sure that you don't perpetuate, in your case, let's say in the Big Four, how do you not perpetuate toxic environment that causes mental stress? I think number one is just to be, first and foremost, you need to be empathic and have some empathy.
Yep.
Understand your team members, where they come from. For example, if you have someone who is a caretaker, in the sense that the person is young, single, but maybe they have parents or siblings to take care and they're the single breadwinner or something like that, you need to understand where they come from. So there may be certain things affecting their mood or their behaviors is mainly because they may have some issues. Number two, they may need to do certain things, they may need to take leave and everything, but don't take advantage by trying to pile in pressure, to give unnecessary stress. I think the common word is don't give unnecessary stress.
Yep.
Right, what do you think, Kayan?
Yes. I'm fortunate to work under a couple of good bosses, very good mentor of myself as well. I've treated them as my mentors, and they helped me a lot in terms of my career and the development of my professional career. So I think I just want to add on to the empathy perspective. Yes, a good boss have to show the empathy side of themselves. But I think sometimes if you as a boss, you cannot feel the empathy. For example, you cannot feel the empathy of, let's say, a mother taking leaves to take care of the kids, for example. For me, if you cannot feel it, at least you fake and show it to the employees. Because sometimes as a boss, if you do not show empathy to the employees, maybe you feel it in your heart. But if you don't show it in action or in emotions, the staff would treat it as, my boss is not helping me or do not understand me, right? So for me, if you do not understand it or you do not have it, fake it and show the emotions to the staff.
So that's your take on things.
Yeah.
Fake it, but
Fake it till you make it.
yeah,
Yep.
because I'm more of a blunt person. So in a lot of times whenever last time, if I don't understand what I do is I ask, right? So for example, I take back the same example. A mother may need to take a lot of leaves to take care of the children and whatnot. So if someone from someone who, let's say when I was single, I don't have a kid,
Yep.
I don't understand. So what I'll do is I'll ask, why you need to take leave? And then, when you understand the situation, then you realize that on the other part, work needs to be done. So what I'll do is I'll find out a way, how can this be workable both ways, right?
Yep.
Because you are the enabler. It's most of the time, it's not the HR as the company, but how can you enable a win-win situation, right? I'm proud to say, Kayan, I was one of the first few proponents from work from home. So when it was another workplace previously, work from home was not common. I started it first. So I told my team members that you can work from home. If you're not feeling well, if you have things to do, you go ahead, work from home, as long as the deliverables are done. So I strike up a win-win situation in the sense that, yes, I can give you the leeway, but I expect the same leeway if you're on off days, at night, or your weekends.
Yep.
So it's a give and take. But I think that in my way is I ask questions to understand further the situation and then find a workable solution to that.
Yep.
So I think if we behave like bosses in this way, I think have some empathy, seek to understand the problem and find a win-win solution, even if the company doesn't have that kind of policies in place to make the workplace better for your mental health,
Yep.
but the boss goes a long way. Kaya, I can tell you that
Yes.
from my experience,
Same.
your immediate boss
Same.
can make everything go away, right? You
Same.
have a good boss that shows empathy, that is sincere, strict. It can be anything, but if I were to sum this up, right? Being a boss is not like a football team manager, right? Being a boss in today's modern era with generational gap, we have the younger workforce, is more like a team captain, right? Nowadays, you have to behave like a team captain. So a team captain, what? When your team members slack, you scold. But at the same time, when your team members have real problems, say like you're semi-injured in the field, you go and cover the slack,
Yes.
right? That means you as a boss, as a team captain, you need to sometimes cut the slack, but you protect your team members. Right, it gives you only the right for you to scold your team members, but if outside people try to put pressure, you have to be defensive. So I think the analogy itself is something for you guys to think about. To be a team captain rather than a team manager, which is two different things, but go and seek that out.
Yes, and also just add on to give credit when it's due, lah. So that means if the staff is doing well or doing good, praise them. You can do it via verbally, or you can give them certain treat them for lunch, bring them out for birthday dinners or lunches. So this actually help to give the staff a bit of sense of belonging in the company or in the department. Right. I think I think we should conclude this episode.
One
right?
final
Go
point
ahead.
before we conclude this episode on mental health.
Sure.
Just now we talk about boss, what makes a good boss. But I think most of us are employees.
Yeah.
So how to be a good employee? I think number one, we need to seek to find out where your boss is at. Understand your boss's, let's say for example, the situation, right? So like for me, if I report to my boss, I need to understand what is his or her KPIs and everything. And I need to do my best to ensure that I support my boss. That means, I need to make certain decisions. I need to be accountable to things that achieve my boss's objectives in a way that makes my life easier. So sometimes it's a two-way street. We yes, as a boss, we need to seek to understand our team member, but as employees, we also need to seek to understand our boss, where they come from, so that when we can better support our boss, then overall things will be better because there will be less stress all around. And I think it's a two-way street.
Of course, sometimes if the boss is not reasonable or it's really a toxic environment where the boss is really cannot pakai lah, basically. Right? I mean, just start to look for a new job and move on lah, because sometimes it's really not your problem. It's actually the problem of the superior. And sometimes you can try or attempt to change the superior, but if you cannot do it or you cannot succeed in doing it, then look for a new job. That's my view.
All right. That's great. That pretty much, I think, wraps up what we want to talk about today. But it doesn't stop here, guys and ladies. If you want to hear more from us talking about this topic about mental health at the workplace, please do reach out to us. Let us know in the comments or in our DMs. Then perhaps maybe we can plan out an episode that we explore this further, in details, and perhaps maybe get someone who knows this better as our guest as well. That's something we can do. That
we know some of our ex-colleagues who's
we
good
may
in
do
all
that.
these things. I think lastly, please like, share, and subscribe.
Yep.
I think that's all for our episode. Thank you.
So that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank you.